All right, guys, so trying to give you one video here that is kind of your go-to video for form and execution for pull downs. So the only thing that'll be different on this one is the exact machine that you're using. So again, we're not gonna be talking really much about profile now. The things we'll be looking at are kind of alignment. So again, picking a machine that's a good lineup, and then where your body position and where your upper arm range of motion will end. So again, depending on if you have a machine like this, similar to this, or if you're doing cables, there's only gonna be slight adjustments just to make sure that you're getting yourself and ending in the same position. So basically, the one thing I wanna address first and foremost on this is just the end range. So for most people, if you just go into what kind of grip we want here, which is a neutral or even slightly supinated, just for your arm path, raise your arm up and just kind of stop where you feel like you comfortably, have resistance, where your body doesn't want to go any further without forcing it. So for pretty much any pull down or pull up, that should be your end range of your upper arm. Now the beauty of this machine is the handles are kind of going that direction, so it just pretty much ends in the end range where most people should be. If you go much further than that, it can start to jam up stuff in the shoulder joint. Some people it's fine. Most people just feel where your resistance is. And it's going to be somewhere short of 180 degrees, somewhere around here. So again, the only difference between setup on this and if you're doing a cable pull down, on a cable pull down, obviously because the cable, depending on where you set up, is much more straight down and not out in front of you, you're just going to have to lean back. So again, let's say this is basically 20 degrees short of 180 degrees. If you're in a pull down, you're just going to have to lean back about 20 degrees. Again, if the cable's pulling from straight up, or slide slightly back in the seat again, so the cable's a little bit ahead of you. So that's one of the big differences. And again, it's going to be slightly different from every machine. Some of them are going to be a little bit more forward, some a little bit more above you, some might be even slightly more forward. They can all be good options. Just adjust your body position again, so when you're in that end range, you're not being forced into a range past where you shouldn't be. Aside from that, just as a general go-to, if you're trying to train lats, you want to go in a shoulder width grip. So choose something that has a handle about this width. And again, that's going to be slightly different from person to person. And the whole purpose of this is just so your upper arm passes comfortably at your side. So again, if you're in a gym, again, depending on your options, it could honestly be a pull-up if you don't have a good pull-down machine. But almost anywhere should have, if you're cable pull-downs, have an attachment that's about that width, have a machine that's a handle about that width. And then I'll show you that your last option is if you don't have a good handle like that, you can always go single arm. And you can kind of adjust it for a machine or even if you're doing a cable. Aside from that, a couple things I'll show before we have Terrence demoing is the big thing is keeping your spinal position still. And again, so a lot of people make a big deal about either being slightly rounded or neutral or slightly extended. For the most part, I don't think it makes that big of a difference. Now again, if you're one of the people who uses your upper back on everything, then you might want to avoid this very extended position. A lot of people think by putting this extended position here, it will make your lats less likely to work, but your lats basically come along with your spine. It doesn't work like a bow and arrow. It doesn't separate away from your body like the string of a bow and arrow. It stays right along your spine. So you changing this position doesn't actually change your body's ability to use your lats. Getting in a more extended position might allow you to use your upper back a little bit easier, which is again something I think is important to kind of differentiate at least a little bit. So I say all that for, if you feel your lats in a slightly extended position, it's a fine position to be in. If you tend to feel your upper back, then maybe set yourself in a little bit more of a neutral position, or even a slightly flexed position is fine. Just go in a position again where you feel your lats do most of the work and less upper back stuff. And then from there, the key is to keep it still. So whatever position you're in, you should have some degree of bracing, which just means everything around your midsection has a degree of tightness. So you're not moving one way or the other. Anytime you're moving, you will change things at your shoulder joint, which will make it hard to keep on the same muscle, in this case the lats the whole time. So I'm going to have Terrence go ahead and grab both arms to start. And from there, this is the thing that everyone kind of overcomplicates a little bit too much. The most important thing is when you're at the top of every rep, let everything kind of stretch up, so shoulder blades will stretch up. You can see very clearly here, Terrence's lat attaches, same spot as everybody else, right up to his upper arm. The most important thing for initiating here is this pulls down. As this pulls down, the thing you want to focus on is it pulling your upper arm down. So your upper arm will basically pull down and go a little bit into flexion. I'll have you stop right there. So both things will ultimately move at the same time. So again, his upper arm as it pulls down, if you look just at the GH joint, he's actually getting into a little bit of extension with his upper arm, his humerus, and his scapula pulls down. So again, he can't move his humerus and not have his scapula move because they're attached a little bit. But at the same time, you have a lot of people that mess up just trying to isolate pulling the scapula down. So that's the focus. The thing is to focus on where that lat attaches, let that pull down, and then Terrence is going to drive through to the end of the motion. The big thing for this is stick in a range where you feel like you have your lats working the entire time, somewhere finishing right at your side. The big thing on this one is to not let your elbows flare out. You want to feel like they're tucked in as tight as your side as they can possibly get. Yeah, don't let the elbows flare out like that. And as a result, you're generally always going to be in a neutral or slightly supinated grip. So people all the time say, oh, should I be this grip? Should I be this grip? Well, the reason is if Terrence tries to go into a fully pronated grip, ultimately he's going to run out of range and he's going to want that elbow to bow out. If he stays more neutral or more supinated, it's much easier to keep that upper arm in position. So I'll Terrence do a couple more reps just to show here. So at the end of the range of motion, stretch those shoulders up, pull from where that lat attaches. The upper arm's going to pull down the same time the scapula is going to move and tuck right in at the side. And the only thing I'll say there is again, if you have great connection with your lats and you can feel it the whole way, you can tuck it all the way in until it's all the way extended back at your side, right at your side, and you're training your lats to probably 95% of the full contractile range. If you tend to lose it a little bit when you get to the end, you can stop short. So if you stop 10, 20 degrees short, that is also a fine option. Just stick in a range where you feel. Because again, you want to train your lat eventually in this position, but you don't have to do it on this move. The main purpose of this movement is to get the lats from the start. So I'll Terrence take a little break. And the last thing I'll have you guys come around and look from the side is Terrence doing single arm. So there's a couple benefits to single arm. I won't get too much into it. So go ahead and grab that side. Terrence will be good. The biggest thing is if your machine is not a good setup, so if you have something that's more off to one side or the other or only to the center, you can basically shift your body. So just find the position where you can pull your upper arm comfortably down at your side and basically just shift your body so that you're into that position. So again, everything's lined up here straight. So this handle's lined up and everything's kind of lined up. If you just imagine a big straight line from wherever the machine or the cable attaches going all the way comfortably right at your side, that's the biggest advantage of going single arm. So if you imagine if you had even just a single handle on a cable or slid over on a weird machine, you can always make it line up here just fine. And then the last kind of advanced tip I'll give on this is you can mess around with a little bit of rotation, a little bit of side bend. So you can see Terrence is even set up in a little bit of side bend here, and that's fine because your lat crosses all the way over your spine and attaches kind of right down here to some stuff at the base of your hip. So your lat can actually influence a little bit of the side bendy, slightly rotation type stuff. So again, you can mess around with sometimes feeling a little added contraction, side bending into the finish, or even just setting it from the start can help you feel your lat more so than upper back stuff. Because none of this upper back stuff crosses down over your spine. So again, by manipulating your spine, sometimes it helps you feel your lat a little bit more. The big thing to avoid on that is getting really side bendy or really twisty to the point where you have other muscles that can do that a little bit better. So that's it, guys. Just a brief recap. Set yourself up in this type of position. So you can imagine some railroad tracks at shoulder width. That's where you want to line your handles up, whatever machine that you're doing. If that's not an option, go single arm to kind of line up that one side at least of the railroad tracks to move comfortably at your side. Set your end range so you're not pulling past where you can comfortably go. Again, don't force it up into here somewhere where you're not comfortable for your shoulder joint, possibly past where your lat can do some work. And then again, just focus on keeping everything right in, tucked in at the side, the entire range of motion.